Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about beginners and experienced programmers and what we would like. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Fredrik, what would you as a more experienced developer like the less experienced programmers to understand? And the short answer is that your best shot at becoming an experienced programmer is to listen to wisdom, to talk to developers who have the right mindset and listen to developers who have done the things that you think you understand. Let me explain. What I mean by the things that you think that you understand is because I see quite a lot of developers, especially very often, who will make radical claims that are just not true, but they talk as if this is the most obvious thing in the world. I know for a fact that there are plenty of people, I've seen it many times on my comment section, where some dude will just throw out that, oh no, this is bullshit because this is the best thing, and of course, why aren't you, this is what we should be doing. Why aren't we doing this? Because this is so much better than that. And I usually don't give these people my time because I know that either they're going to get a very rough awakening at some point, or they're going to realize over time and kind of just play it down when they fuck up enough. Worst case scenario, they stay these know-it-all opinionated people until they're much older than what would be to an age where this would be embarrassing for anybody, at least from my perspective, and most likely they're never going to get a job again. The old bitter programmers, or the very old and strongly opinionated programmers, are usually the programmers who find it the hardest to find any job outside of the bank world or some other industry where they don't really value the really bleeding edge, top-notch programmers in the same fashion. So what I'm trying to say here is basically that I wish that this was the case. I wish that people would have a bit of self-reflection when they're in the early stages of their career and realize that you don't know shit. You don't know shit. You know nothing. Nothing at all. You know so little about this industry, and you know so little about what makes a product a success, what actually matters when you're writing software. All of these things. None of these things you know shit about when you're starting out. Yet you talk as if you do, and you do that because some person on a blog that you read or some person on a video showed you something you thought was cool and said that this is a pretty amazing new way of working. It's innovative. It's the something. And now all you're doing is literally repeating the opinions of that person, or in another case where we're talking about programming languages, just because you happen to have started with C#. Just because of that, you now think it's the coolest thing ever. It's the best language ever. And you have so little experience. You see, there is a concept that exists where we humans, we have a tendency to always believe and favor the first thing we are introduced to. And this principle is very simple. If I tell you that a fact is a fact first, and someone else tells you that fact is incorrect, you're more likely to, if you have nothing else to go on, you're more likely to believe me because I was the first thing you heard. I was the first opinion or the first source of information you got, than you are to believe the second thing. So naturally, if you fall in love with C# or whatever language you start off with, you're going to have an emotional connection to it. And this, my friend, is very annoying to the more experienced programmers who are trying to help, because we are the people who and people who are much more experienced than me. I did many of the same sort of mistakes. Some of the people that I've talked to, or rather never talked to, I've just seen them post things, is like, it's just beyond me how you can behave in this fashion when you know so little and there's so much to learn. And all I can say is that I hope that you are as lucky as I was You're going to need to be more lucky than me, because I at least were open to listening to the experienced people, and I understood how little I knew when I started out. I was still resistant, because sometimes I had been brainwashed into believing things that weren't true by my own. I was indiscriminately, or without any reality checks, just consuming everything that was on the internet. I consumed all the videos, all the talks, all the blog posts, and of course, when I don't know what I'm actually looking for, when I don't know how all this fits together, I'm just blindly accepting everything as truth. For me, it's very similar to as if you were to believe every slogan as the absolute truth of every commercial. That is literally how many of these people that I deal with, I've seen, seem to be behaving as, because that's what it is, guys. It is a sales pitch. The people who are presenting something to you are showing you findings, and sometimes they're selling you stuff. It's no different. You have to be able to consume this content with a objective and critical mindset, or you should be able to think critically and be objective about what you are things that are being proposed. The reason why a experienced developer does in general not behave like this, it's very rare that I see mid-level or more senior developers that they can't communicate, that they can't get along. They usually always get along when it comes to opinions about software engineering and choices and so forth, because they understand that everything is a trade-off. They understand all the intricate details that makes up a successful software project, and none of these people behave like this. They never behave like this. They have their heartfelt topics that they will just promote very passionately, but they're always open to having a dialogue, and almost always at least, open to being wrong, open to hearing the opinion of somebody else, and then just hear them out and say, hey, you know what? I agree with you, or I don't agree with you, and here's why I don't agree with you, but I can see that you have a point. Like, there's never like this almost confrontation-like attitude in the way that they are talking. That is what I really wish that the beginner programmers would understand, because I have to this day still never ever met a true senior developer, or even a remotely experienced developer, that behaves like that. Never. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you ask me personally, what I would like the beginner or new programmers, or whatever we're calling them, to understand is how much they're fucking up their chances of becoming truly experienced developers by behaving as if they know something. You don't know shit. Unless you truly have worked for years and years at several different companies, and you have seen the world, and you've talked to different stakeholders in different projects, and you are at virtually a team lead level where you could manage a small team of developers, then you don't know fuck about anything. This is where you need to be in order to even, I would argue, express an opinion on what's going to work better than the other thing. Because if all you ever done is to have one programming language at one company, and now all of a sudden you know everything, well, then you don't know everything, and you should really humble yourself. I really strongly suggest that. Humble yourself, realize that there's so much to learn. There's so many people out there who know so much more than you do. And before you start every conversation by saying that, no, you're fucking wrong and I'm right because I have read these blog posts, or I have worked with this programming language for a whole year now and I know this stuff, just shut the fuck up and go, I feel this way. I really like this programming language. Be a little bit humble and go, what is your opinion? And try to listen to the other person. Maybe you're going to learn something. I did. I learned a fuck ton by doing that. Have a great day.